And welcome to AppShare Live. This is episode 7, and I've been joined by some lovely educators from all across the world. And I'm going to introduce them to you. So we're going to start off with Steve Banbury, all the way over in Dubai. Morning, Steve.
Morning. It's actually afternoon here.
Afternoon.
Steve Banbury, glad to be back. I'm currently head of computing at Jumeirah English Speaking School in Dubai. But from September, I'm actually moving into a new role as head of digital learning and innovation across the JES schools. And I'm also the founder of the iPad Educators website, www.ipadeducators.com.
Lovely, thank you very much. Next up is going to be Nathan. Nathan, hello, would you like to introduce yourself?
Hello, I'm Nathan Ashman. I'm from Blackburn in the UK, and my role in school is lead teacher for new technologies. I'm an Apple Distinguished Educator, and yeah, today I'm going to be sharing with you a little bit of MSQRD with Orasma.
Lovely. Thank you very much for joining us and giving up an hour of your Saturday. Next up is the lovely Mark Anderson. Hello, Mark. Good morning, my friend.
Morning. Hi, Rachel. Right?
Yes, good. Thank you.
So, hi, I'm Mark. I'm going to be sharing my updated version of my periodic table of apps today, and I'm going to be sharing another app called Annotable or Annotable or something like that. I don't know how you pronounce it, but just to share up a little bit. I created AppShare Live, and Rachel's and I sort of share the hosting of this, which is quite a popular event. Welcome to everybody who's joining us today from around the world watching in. Please share the AppShare Live hashtag when you're tweeting and things like that. The event is automatically archived to YouTube afterwards, so you can share it with your colleagues as a CPD learning event if you want to, or just a way of sharing ideas for technology in the classroom. And thank you to me as well, to Nathan, Kobe, and Danny, and Steve for joining us today. As always, you can find my bits and bobs and ramblings about technology on ictevangelist.com. Thanks.
Lovely. Thank you very much, Mark. Next up is Danny Ross. Hello, Danny from Barnsley.
Morning, Rachel. Good to be here. Thank you for having me. I work at Springwell Special Academy in Barnsley. I work very much with pupils who are reluctant learners. So for that reason, we have to make learning as fun, as inspirational, as engaging as possible. So I'm going to be sharing a little bit of Sketchination and how that can provide a number of writing opportunities. So it's good to be here. Thank you.
Lovely. Thanks for joining us. Thanks for giving up your time. And finally, there's Kobe. Kobe's also in Dubai. Morning, Kobe.
Morning / afternoon. Depends where you're watching from, Rachel. I'm a primary school teacher originally from Australia, but I've been living in the UAE for 4 years. I'm going to be sharing with you today a bit of Spark Page from Adobe and how that sort of works in a primary classroom and how we've been using it lately.
Excellent.
So looking forward to it.
Thank you ever so much. And I'm Lanx/Rach on Twitter, and my blog is Musings from the Island. I'll be sharing a little bit of GarageBand live loops and how you can make songs for learning. And as Mark said, this is recorded, so if you can't watch us live, you can pick it up on YouTube after we've all finished. And thank you very much for joining us. If you are watching live, please, if you're going to tweet about what we're talking about, please could you use the hashtag #AppShareLive. Not so easy for me to say. Anyway, let's crack on. We're going to start with Steve, please. Thank you, Steve.
Yep. Right.
Good to go?
Yeah, I'm just sorting out the screen share. Tell me when you got it.
Yeah, we've got that there. Thank you.
You got that, yeah?
Yeah.
Fantastic.
Excellent.
Hi,
Thanks.
guys. Cool. Right, so what I'm going to share with you today are a couple of apps by a company called Read, Write, Think. What I've done is I've folded their whole suite of apps off so you can see what they've got. They produce a lot of apps for poetry, but there's 2 or 3 apps that they produce that are really good across the curriculum. And I'd say the 3 things that these apps do that I'm always looking for in good apps. Number 1, they're free. All of them are free. Number 2, they're incredibly easy to use, very intuitive. These are the sort of apps that you can put in front of students, and you don't need to give them any instruction in terms of how to actually use these apps. They'll just use them on their own. And thirdly, they all export finished work to the camera roll, which means that you can then use them in other apps like Book Creator, Explain Everything, or iTunes U, things like that. So the first one I'm going to show you is Timeline. I've actually got a project set up already here. This is a very simple timeline creator. You can see you can organize things by date, time, or event. So there's a few examples here that they provide to you. There's one there for a school year. There's another one for a morning routine, and there's one based on events, a science one. I've got one halfway through. Now this is a World War II themed timeline that I've started building. So you can see I've got these various events on the timeline. I can move the points along the line, and I can reposition the actual the events if I need to add more stuff in. And if I want to add another event, just tap on the timeline and it will create a new one. Now I'd love to tell you that I'm an expert in World War II and I know all the dates off the top of my head, but I don't, so I'm going to be crafty and pull up my notes. There we go. Right, so what have I not got on here yet? 7th of September 1940, the Blitz begins. Okay, so I'm going to put for my label, the Blitz begins 7 Sep 1940. Now this little box here, that's full description, I can add additional information into, and when you export the final piece of work, it produces a second sheet with bullet point lists of all your additional full descriptions. So it's a great way to differentiate for your more able students. You can give them the instruction that they have to put 2 or 3 pieces of extra information into that box, whereas less able students could just actually be piecing the timeline together. I'm just going to put in just a simple sentence. The Blitz of London begins. Thousands of homes are destroyed. There we go. And then I can choose an image. There we go. I've got one here. I can zoom in on this if I want to, reposition it, bingo. And there we go. You can see how quickly I can get that onto the timeline. Now, if I suddenly realise, oh, I've put this in the wrong place, I can move it around. I can move it along the timeline, put it back into the right place. It actually does want to be there. I'll put this up on this side instead. So you can see how quick and easy that is for me to be adding content onto the timeline. When I click Finish, if I was finished, then it would export like that as a JPEG to the camera roll, or I could email it to myself as well. And that second page I mentioned would look like that. So you've got this bullet point list of all the key facts. I've actually got another one here. Where are we? It says trying to pull it across. There we go. This is another example. This is one from a Year 6 class. This is actually an English lesson using a story called The Harge, which was used as part of a Stories with a Flashback unit. And it's a story that takes place in the present, and it flashes back to events from the past, and eventually the story pieces together. So we read through the story with the Year 6 students, and then they sequenced the events of the story in chronological order to show that they understood how the events had led to from one to the next. Just from a logistical point of view, the images that we used here, we actually banked them on Dropbox so that the students didn't have to waste time searching for relevant images online. So I'm going to move on to one other app from Read Write Think that I really, really like. I think it's possibly their strongest app, which is trading cards. I've loved trading cards since I was a kid, and this I think is possibly the best trading card creation app. It allows you to create trading cards in various categories. So you can see some examples here. There's a familiar face. We can have trading cards based on people. We can have trading cards based on places. We can have trading cards based on words and build vocabulary cards if we want to. And there's another example here of a made-up place. Let's just come back to the start. And what's great about this is when you create a new card, everybody keeps tweeting me. When you create a new card, it gives you all these different categories to choose from. And depending on the category that you choose, you are given different sections to fill in, and you're given different prompts. So I'm going to do one quickly for Bilbo Baggins. And he's a fictional person. There we go. So it creates me a card like this. I can insert an image, which I've banked down here. Let's get him in there. And you can see here I've got these different categories. Now the categories will be different depending on what type of card I choose. So when I click on source, it not only gives me guiding questions, which is fantastic, but it gives me a character limit, kind of like Twitter, which is also great because it forces students to be economical with their words. So the source is The Hobbit. The setting is the Shire, at least initially. Appearance and personality. Very small, hairy feet, brave at times, and interesting detail. How about he possesses the One Ring? There we go. Now again, in terms of differentiation, the cards actually have two sides. So if I wanted to extend more able learners, I could push them onto the second side and fill in the other categories as well. I've actually, in true Blue Peter fashion, got one that I prepared earlier. So there you go, you get a little look at the finished card. And again, that's how that would export as a JPEG. You could then print these off. If you print them off at A5 size, you can then fold them, you print them on card, fold them and stick them back to back or laminate them. You can actually create these really nice sets of cards. I've got one more example there based on the character from the TV show Vikings. And there's a piece on iPad Educators from a couple of months ago all about trading card apps, which was called Trading Cards with a Viking, and it looked at the trading cards app as well as 3 or 4 other alternatives. So if you're interested in using trading cards in the classroom, I'd recommend going and check that one out. And that, guys, as I say, is me. Thank you very much.
Brilliant. Thank you very much, Steve. That was ace. I've never seen. Well, I have seen Timeline before, but I've never used it. And I have seen trading cards before, but not actually that version. So both of those are absolutely brilliant. Has anybody on the panel got any questions or anything that they'd like to ask Steve about what he's shown?
I noticed that those two are free, Steve. The other apps in the sort of series, are they all free as well?
From Read Write Think?
Yeah.
Yeah, as far as I know, they're all free. The ones that I tend to use are those two and Venn, Read Write Think Venn diagram, which again, like the Timeline one, you assume that it's an app for a history class, but as I've just shown you, you can use it in stuff like literacy as well, or science even. And the Venn diagram one, you could just as easily use it for comparing character qualities. We've used it for Bilbo Baggins, comparing his character at the start of the story to the end of the story, just as readily as you can use it in a maths class for sort of traditional venues. And that one's free as well. I believe all of them are free, and they've got a lot more web apps. A lot of these iOS apps are based on their web apps available through their website.
Cool.
Excellent, brilliant. I love the fact that they all share to the camera roll as well, which is perfect.
Yeah.
Sorry, Nathan.
Steve, I was just going to say, in terms of sharing them, once you've created them, what other apps would you suggest you share those with, or can you app smash those into things like Book Creator quite easily?
Oh yeah, totally. Again, trying not to shamelessly self-promote too much, but if you go on iPad Educators, there's a feature on there called There and Back Again with an iPad, which is it's one of my pieces on app autonomy and sort of giving different approaches to the same task. And in there, there's a Book Creator book that you download that's got 12 different approaches to analysing the character of Bilbo Baggins. One of them is using trading cards, and then there's like Puppet Pals and a lot of other apps in there explain everything. So definitely that. And on the Viking article that I talked about, I know I think Nathan's going to talk about Orasma in a bit. I've used Orasma to actually then bring the Chatterpix and Orasma to bring the cards to life, so that you've got the trading card of the character, and you scan it in Orasma, they begin talking to you.
Yeah, I was just going to say that, Steve. I've also seen that with the Timeline app as well, where it's been linked with Erasmus and iMovie, where the kids have then brought those events in that timeline to life through iMovie and green screen. So, yeah,
ThingLink is another good one for the Timeline app. You can take your timeline into ThingLink and then tag it with multimedia.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Excellent.
I could see it being used quite nicely in Explain Everything as well. You know, sort of using to pan and zoom around different points on the timeline. Yeah, so you can then talk about each bit as you sort of move around the image that you've made. A bit like you might in Prezi, for example, you know?
Yeah. Yeah, I think there's loads of applications for it, actually, don't you? And in lots of subjects as well.
Brilliant. Thanks, Steve.
No
Thank
worries.
you, Steve. Lovely. Mark, you're going to go next, I believe.
Okay, cool. Yeah, brilliant. So I'm going to do two things today. First thing I want to do is I want to share with you something I've made about technology and apps. So I'm just going to go on to screen share a second, and if somebody could confirm that you can see my iPad right now with the periodic table of iPad apps volume 2. Can you see that?
Yeah, I can see that.
Brilliant. So I made my first periodic table of iPad apps sort of just under 2 years ago, and it's had like a ridiculous amount of interest. It's been downloaded more than sort of 7 million times. It's like crazy. But as with most things, technology moves on and what have you. And I was talking with an old colleague of mine a little while ago and a few friends and that. And that's Zoe Elder, Full On Learning on Twitter, and she was saying that I should do a bit of an update, so that's what I've done. And what I've done is I've sort of categorised them by different types of learning activities, so from creativity to teaching to demonstrating, collaboration, learning, numeracy, workflow, and literacy. And they're all colour-coded on the diagram, what have you. So, for example, if we look at workflow with the purple background there, we've got different apps that can support the idea of workflow, like Classroom and Shobi, and so forth and so on. There are lots and lots of different apps on here that you might want to choose to use. Little Digits, for example, was presented a little while ago by Laura Dickinson, I believe. We've got Photo Math there, for example, in our numeracy section, which is something which you can use to take a photograph of a maths problem and it'll solve it for you. And you've got Office Lens in the teaching section there, which is great for taking snapshots and what have you. Most of the apps that are on here have got some kind of backup on my blog, ICT Evangelist, or on my YouTube channel, where you also find the App Share Live episodes and what have you. A little screencast showing you how to use them. But every single one of these are ones that I've used with children in classes and what have you. And with teachers, and so they're all coming from a background of actually having been used in real life situations and been seen to have an impact on teaching and learning, what have you. One which doesn't get much sort of talk about, I'll sort of just highlight here a second. This is one down here at the bottom called VEO, Video Enhanced Observation. It's a great tool for teachers to use in the classroom when you're working maybe on a lesson study basis, whatever, to record each other's teaching. And what happens is whilst you're doing the recording, you can sort of tap on the screen at certain key points. So let's say the teacher's doing some great exposition and questioning or what have you. Well, you can tap on the screen and put questioning, and you can say that's a great questioning moment or what have you. So when it comes to reviewing the video at the end of the lesson and what have you for your sort of formative conversations about teaching and learning in the classroom, you've got markers that you can tap on, and the video will shoot to 5 seconds before that marker was added, and it's just a great way of then sort of discussing practice around those things that happen in your classroom. It's good for children to use as well for recording different things, because you can add these markers on and put those things on. The app is free, which I think is amazing, and the video's recorded and sort of saved to your camera roll if you want to. If you save it to your camera roll, you do lose that tagging facility, but you can always load it within the app. There is a paid-for version, which enables you to use a cloud to store your videos, and if you use the paid-for version, then you can retain the tags and what have you, and then share them amongst colleagues across your school as well. But I hope you enjoy this resource. It's being sort of launched, it'll push via my blog after the App Share Live, or after I finish presenting. I'll hit the publish button. You can download a high quality version of it to use it however you want to in your schools and what have you. I just ask that you don't just do it like some schools have done and take my name off and stuff like that. If you're interested in having like a version for your school, just get in touch and I can see if I can make one and put your branding on for you and things, but we can talk about that. But I hope you find the resource useful. It's so a bit of a labour of love. Every little bit on here has got its own little layer. I made it using Photoshop, but yeah, I hope you find that resource useful. The app that I'm going to share today is this one here in the centre called Annotable. Now the app itself is free, Okay, but there are some elements in there which are paid for through in-app purchases. But Skitch has been is going to be stopping being supported by Evernote very soon. In fact, it might well have been already. And I've been looking for another app which would give me similar functionality, and I came across this one here called Notable. And what you can do is you can simply take a picture. So if I swing through here, I find myself a picture to use. This one here maybe of Lisa Ashes presenting at Talk on the Time last week. Okay, and I can annotate this image really simply using the tools. Now, if you've used Skitch before, you'll recognise the sort of the way in which this one works as well. So you can choose colours of varying sizes and what have you. And you have tools over here on the bottom right-hand corner. You can tap on to bring those up and what have you as well. So one thing which is really nice is that the ability to sort of pixel out faces. So the third option across with the sort of square blocks and what have you, you tap on that, and let's say I want to sort of pixel out this guy over here, I can just drag it over his face like that, and away we go. So that's really nice, particularly if you're taking pictures of children in your classroom, but you want to sort of pixel out their faces for sharing and that sort of thing as well. And what we can also do is use the sort of line tool here, just chosen there, so you can draw wiggly lines if you want to. Okay. What's really nice is once you've chosen something, okay, you can then do more to it. So I'm just going to show my favourite feature now, which is the magnifying glass one. So if I draw a magnifying glass, I'm just going to draw myself a circle like so. I'm just going to move it over to here. Now, can you see there's a little dot in the centre of that circle? Okay, and if I tap on that dot and then drag it to where I want it to be pointing to, okay, so there's Lisa's face like that. I let go, and now that's zoomed in on that particular bit. That's really helpful. If a children's got a diagram of an animal cell or a transection in a globe, whatever it is they want you to sort of, or you want to sort of label up and what have you, it's dead easy to do that. Now Lisa's holding a frisbee there in her hand, so I'm now going to go to the text tool, and I'm just going to double tap down the bottom here, and I'm going to type frisbee, like so. And just like we had before, we've got that centre little dot. So we can use the corner ones to resize and move around and all that sort of stuff. But if we use the centre one, we can then use that to point at things as well as that. So it's great for labelling up and what have you. And so you can develop it, build it up, and so forth and so on. So here's let's pop this in a circle just down here. Move it over here a little bit. I'll point at Ben Stanley's face just there. So it's just a really, really simple, easy to use tool, and you can use the shapes and things to really highlight things and make them stand out and pop a bit more like so. And okay, you can change colours and things on there. When you're done, as with most things, you've got the share icon, so you just hit on share. And what I can do now is I can save it to the camera roll, drop it straight to Book Creator, save it to my camera roll, send it somewhere via AirDrop, all that sort of thing. So that's the periodic table of apps, which I showed at the beginning, which will be on the blog any moment, ictevangelist.com, and I hope you find that useful. And then this app here called Anotable, which I think is a really good win for just simple, effective use technology in the classroom. I hope you found that helpful and useful, and I'll now swing back and stop sharing and come back into the room with everybody else. Thank you.
Lovely, thank you very much, Mark. It looks ace. I have to say, it was a bit of a nightmare when Skitch decided that it was going to disappear off the ether. So, yeah, I'm pleased that you found something that can help all of us out to pixelate all our children out of our blogs, as it were. Anybody got any questions for Mark about Notable? Oh, can I just say congratulations on the apps? I mean, that must have taken hours. In fact, I know it's taken you hours to do that. So it does look beautiful. Thank you for that.
Thank you. For those people who are interested as well, if I could just share back again in a second,
yeah.
I use a tool to grab the app icons. Getting decent quality app icons to use in different applications or what have you, particularly for those who do training and what have you, is quite difficult. And I came across an app a little while ago called Workflow. Now, Workflow, can you see on the centre of my screen at the bottom it says App Images, a little down arrow and what have you. That's a shortcut into the Workflow app. The Workflow app is $2.99, I think. If I simply tap onto that there and I type in the name of the app that I want to get an image of, let's say it's Explain Everything, okay, and it just searches the App Store for apps that have got those sort of words in it, you see the one that comes up at the top, says explain everything, great, I want it. I choose that, it goes through the workflow and it gives me the app icon. Happy days, and I can just save it, share it, what have you, and I've got a high quality version of the app logo there then that I can use in whatever it is I want to use it in, which made it so much easier when I was making the periodic table, because so that there's just shy of 100 apps on there, and going through and finding all of those decent quality is really quite difficult. So yeah, the workflow app was really helpful. You can use it for all sorts of things. You can use it to download YouTube clips direct to your camera roll. You can use it to do location-based stuff as well. So like if you're getting close to home, you can the workflow app will send a text to your loved one to tell them to put the kettle on, and all sorts of stuff that you can do with the app. You're using automation and what have you. There are loads of recipes that you can use with that. So that's a little bonus one there with workflow.
Can you tweet out the recipe for that, please? So for those of us who've already got workflow.
Yeah, of course I can. Yeah, I will do. Yeah, I did tweet it the other day because it stopped working, so I had to talk with another ADE called Martin Coots. I'm sure many of you know. We were trying to sort of hack it and get it working again, and the guy who came up with the recipe originally was like, "What? It ain't working? Oh my goodness!" So we were all sort of working together to try and get it working again. So yeah, but I will tweet that shortly. No problem.
Perfect. Thank you very so much. Anybody else got any questions?
Mark, I was just saying with the periodic table, a great resource. Absolutely, obviously took you a long time to make. Obviously, like teachers in the classroom, how would you suggest that you use that as a resource? Obviously, you don't want to just go and give this to people because it can be quite overwhelming looking at all of the apps on there. Are there any particular recommendations on how they would use that resource?
So one way I've seen it being used in some schools is sort of focusing on key areas. Yeah, so rather than looking at it as big one massive set of apps and what have you, if you're thinking about sort of numeracy, sort of working your way through the ones that are there, and probably what I would do is start with the ones which are free as well. I say overwhelmingly the apps that are on there are free, but there are some paid for ones like Explain Everything, for example, or Little Digits. But just work through it slowly and tie itself back through to my blog as well, because I say almost everything that's on there has got some kind of resource either linked through to my YouTube channel or a post on my blog. So, and I'm always keen to, if people sort of want some support and things, I'm always happy to, if there isn't a resource, say, well, how do I use this, what have you? It's very simple for me to, like all of us, to make a quick resource, so I'm always happy to do that. So.
Yeah, cool.
No, I appreciate that, Mark. It's been great for me, because whenever we have new staff, I'll always make use of the periodic table as a starting point for them to go and have a little play with. Because it's daunting. However, it's not as daunting as the App Store, is it? Where there's thousands and thousands of leads. It does narrow it down considerably. So, no, I appreciate that, Mark. Thank you.
No worries, cheers, Danny. Thank you.
Lovely. Moving on then, I think. Danny, it looks like you're up next. Yep.
Okay, let's just bear with me one moment, please. Right. Can you see anything just yet?
Not just yet.
Is that up? No?
Nope. I can still see you. There
How
we go.
about now?
Yeah, that's looking a little bit better. Just give it a sec. Yay, that's it.
Okay.
Yeah, perfect. Thank you ever so much.
Okay, thank you. As I mentioned earlier on, I do work with kids with social and emotional and mental health difficulties. So whatever we do, we've got to plan work that's inspiring and motivates the kids to actually want to do it. And I'm a big fan of the concept of camouflage learning in the classroom, and almost tricking the kids into working, into learning, and therefore making progress. And an app that I came across a long time ago now was Sketch Nation. Let's have a look here. That's not playing, is it?
No, it's not.
It's not. It's not moving. Right, let me just try this again. We'll get there.
These things always happen. It's fine.
Right, what's it doing now? What can you see?
I can just see an infinite sharing screen.
Yeah, likewise. Let me just come off this.
think you were almost there before, but nothing was moving on your iPad, I
Oh,
don't
it
think.
just wasn't moving, was it? That better?
Yeah, can you just scroll across? I think it is moving now.
Yeah, it's working, Danny, now, yeah.
Yeah, brilliant. Thanks.
It's not scrolling when it's on full screen for some reason.
Okay.
But it is there. I'm going to leave it like that. That's okay.
That's perfect. Thanks.
Okay. Right, now, if I just come to Sketch Nation, those of you who are unaware of it, it's an app that gives you the opportunity to create a game. And then from that game, what I've used it is by then doing lots of creative writing through it. Again, it gives you persuasive text, in structured writing, recount writing, and lots of others, various forms of literacy. Now, last night I had a little bit of a play. I was up quite late playing this game, found it quite addictive, but I created a game. I'm just going to play it for you. Mark, it involves you, and all the iPads have been stolen, and what we need to do is help you collect all the iPads back. Now, if I just click on Start, there's no sound to this, because obviously I'm going through QuickType, but you'll notice that there I've got Mark. He's heading down on this platform. And what he needs to do is make sure that he collects all the iPads in and avoids the baddies, avoids the robbers. We have power-ups. Now, these are all images that I found, but what you can do and what's good is you can bring art into it. So the pupils can actually come up with their own characters, they can draw them, they can have a think about what characters would be best to use in the game. So it's very much cross-curricular. Now I'm going to stop this. Sorry, Mark. There you go. You're gone. And I want to show you
Oh, no.
how it's done. I know. Apologies, mate. I'll play on that later on. But what we're going to do is we're going to create a game. This week I've been doing a lot of work around the Euros. Again, it's a hook for the kids. It's something they're interested in. So I've been using the Euros as a way in for this. So I'm going to play and create a game quickly with you now. Now there's a number of options. You get 9 choices, 9 different types of game that you could use. I'm going to go for the platformer one. I guess if you look at the side flying one in the top right hand corner, that's very much your Flappy Birds, isn't it? You've got Up Jumping, which there's a game long ago called Doodle Jump, and that was a similar type of game to that. So there's a number of options of different types of games that you can create. I'm going to do the bottom one in the middle, which is the platformer. And when you open up the Create game, you get a number of different options that you can do. You can do a simple mode, which is exactly what it is. It's very simple. You're restricted to the number of options that you can do on that one. Or you can have a more of an advanced mode where you can have enemies, you can have more power-ups, you can have different movements. So it is a bit more advanced. You can do more on it. And then there's the expert mode. And actually, I've not looked into this, but what you can do with Sketch Nation is actually your game can go into the App Store and people can actually purchase and download your game if it's deemed good enough. So I'm just going to go into the advanced mode. And here we go. We can start. So we get a number of levels. We can have however many levels we want to. I'm just going to start off with 1 for now. I'm actually going to change the length of the level from medium to long. And that was just done by clicking on the settings cog underneath the level option in the first box. If I look at my background, now the background that you're given is, as a default setting, is the clouds. I'm going to change that. So I'm going to click on the add button, and now I could draw a background. If I wanted to do a football one, like I do, I could have a background that represented or looked a little bit like a football pitch. This may not, but I could choose that as my background, and that's fine. So the kids can very much draw their own design, and like I said, what they could do to take a bit more care over it, they could draw it on a piece of paper and then capture it using the camera and then make use of that image. I'm going to import one. So I'm going to go into my camera roll, and I'm going to have the background of this football stadium here. I'm going to click on Done. So it puts that background now into the game. So that's my setting. If I just click on Done now, I could have it scrolling if I wanted. I'm not going to. I could have more than 1 tile, so it wasn't 1x1. I could have a number of little tiles if I wanted. It's just a matter of playing about with it. I'm going to stick with 1x1, and I'm happy with that. I need my character. Now, I don't want that little monster because he's not really anything to do with with the topic or the theme that I'm looking at. So I'm going to click on Create. I could draw it. I'm not going to, but I'm going to import one that I found. And I've got Super Victor. Now, Super Victor is the mascot for the Euros, so I'm going to make use of him. Now, if I was to click on Play now, I will do, you'll notice that there's a big box around Victor. I don't want that box. It's not so good. I want it to be erased around. I wanted this element of transparency around Victor. So if I just click on Quit, I'm going to just click back on Victor, and you'll see these options at the bottom. I've got Erase, Fill, Zoom In, Zoom Out, and Frames. The frames actually allows Victor to move, so I could have a number of different pictures, and it will very quickly flick through them all, so he appears to be moving. I'm just going to click on Erase, and then the Fill box. And if I just click on that, it just gets rid of the background around it. And I'm happy with it now. And you'll notice that the tick has gone from the monster to Victor, because I don't want to use the monster. Obstacle, well, there's a brick wall there. I'm happy with that. I'm not going to waste time playing with my obstacle because it can stay like that. Now, power up. Okay, so what do I want as a power up? Well, I think as a power up, I could have the trophy. Why not? So I'm happy with that. I'm going to erase the background again. Let me get rid of those bits. And I can choose how many points that I want my power up to give me. It might give me extra lives. It might give me, or I don't know, it might make me invisible for a certain amount of time. And then I can tell it what I want it to do once I've collected it. So I'm just going to have it fade out. I want to give me 25 points. I don't want to change it to anything. I'll have it as large, so it gives me a better chance of finding it. And I guess it's good as well for differentiation, because actually if the game is too easy, it can be made more difficult. And this is where you can discuss with the kids how it's important that for a game to be interesting and addictive, it needs to have the challenge, and it needs to have the enjoyment. So there's a number of options that you can do to change things around. I don't want my power up to move, so I'm just going to keep it at that for now. Now, the enemy. I thought about putting the German flag in there because somebody you want to avoid because they're good is the Germans, but I think I'll go for a referee, because if we get our man sent off, then it will cause a problem. So my enemy is going to be the referee. I'm going to click on Done, and I'm going to have my enemy, my referee, shooting some ammo. So I want yes. So I want to have him shooting at me the red card. So I'm just going to quickly draw this card. There you go. I'll quickly get this done. All right, so the ammunition now is going to be the red card. Whoops. Down the left and right. And I'm now happy with that. I can choose on the points. I think we're pretty much good to go. I can have a game, so I'm just going to call my game Euro 2016. Save. I could have a description, I could have an intro to make it more realistic. In fact, it's now playing my game. Oh, I want to quickly do something actually. Apologies. If I just come back to my player, Super Victor, I want him to shoot some ammunition. I don't want him. I want my. Oh, what am I doing here? Let me just. Right. What I want is Victor to shoot a football. I don't want him to shoot the red card because that's going to be the referee. So I want him to have the football. Right, we will get there. Right, and now if I come back down to my referee, done, I can have him shooting the red card. Okay, I think we're there. If I just click on play now. Now with my controls at the bottom, I can jump, I can find my ball. Here we go. I'm going to collect my power-ups. I can also change the size of Victor. If I thought he was too small, which is a little bit, I could make him a little bit bigger. I'm looking for my enemy. I've not come across any just yet. My referee anywhere. Don't know whether I selected it. Let me come back. Good game. Ah, there you go, because he wasn't in play. I'd not ticked select. So now, let me just do it until I find him. We should see our referee somewhere. Anyway, I'm not going to waste any more time playing on that. So you can play about with the game. You can put as many different options and tasks in there as you need be. Now what I do then is once the kids have come up with this game, I'll then get them to do the writing. Once they've done the writing, I might get them to market the game. I might get them to use iMovie Trailer to come up with a game, or put actually their persuasive text into an iBook. So if I was going to iBooks now, a few weeks ago we were doing some work around dragons. Oops, let me just move that on the Salmon model. Back in my library. Here we go, Dragon Invasion. So this was a game that was created. Now, there's no sound to this, so you'll not have be able to pick it all up. But if I just scroll through my book, we can see that there's posters that the pupils have done. They've looked at the features. They've used celebrities to try and sell their game. The kids have spoken and narrated on top of their piece of work. So it makes a really nice piece of work as a result of the game and the enthusiasm that they've picked up from actually the game itself. And then, if I just come into here and open up this, what the kids then did, they went on to produce a iMovie trailer. Now again, you'll not pick up the sound, but you'll get the idea. We had to talk about the language, we had to look about the features, and then the pupils produced a film, like I say, to market and sell it. So really, really good app. Have a play about with it. There's lots you can do. That was a little bit messy. It was a little bit rushed. However, certainly there's so much power and benefit in having a play about with Sketch Nation in the classroom. Okay, and that's it. Sketch Nation, have a play.
Lovely, thank you ever so much, Danny. That's great. Actually, I think I can use that in my classroom, and I've never seen it before.
You've never come across that?
No, never.
Right.
So I'm delighted you've presented me with something new to try in the classroom. Thank you very much. Thank you. Anybody else got anything to add?
Yes, I have.
I knew you would.
Hi, Danny. That was really
All
good.
right.
Thank you very much for that. Now, what I'm asking for is a bit of advice from you. In terms of teachers at my school using this in their classrooms, you probably have the same teacher in your school go, oh, that looks a bit difficult, and they want to get to the actual, the teaching and learning side of it rather than teaching them how to use the app. So what advice would you give them so that they can spend that time effectively in training the students so they can then spend a big chunk of time in the teaching and learning?
Yeah, well, what happened? The kids straight away they'll buy into it because as soon as they're hooked in, as soon as they're interested, and they will be interested, you can see how quickly it was to create a game of some form. Now, from that, what I get the kids doing is actually talking through their game. So it'll bring in speaking and listening. I get them presenting their game and do a bit of peer assessment. What's good about it? What's not? What could be improved? How could we make the game better and more addictive so that people would want to buy it? So it opens up a lot of conversation. And then once it's like with any subject, once the kid is actually interested in a piece of work, they'll want to do it. Now the initial, it's not difficult, and as we know with many apps, what the kids will do is very much champion it and show the teachers how it's done. And then you're just into the normal learning process. So from that initial lesson, and that's all it could be, just a lesson, I would probably start the next lesson by getting the pupils to present their game, and then that's when I'd go into the writing and having looking at the process and just doing exactly what you do if you're doing a standard literature lesson, let's say. It's just a hook in, like you could use a video as a hook in.
Brilliant. Thanks, Danny.
Yeah, that's a perfect explanation of how it could be very easily used in a classroom, I think, Danny. Brilliant. Thank you ever so much. Anybody else got anything to add? No? Lovely. Kobe, I believe you are up next, my friend.
Hey.
Yay.
Hi, guys. As I mentioned before, I'm a primary school. I love new different ways to engage kids in ways that they can display their learning in, using different apps, rather than just, making a book or that sort of thing. And I came across Adobe Spark page, which was formerly known as Adobe Slate. So you mentioned it as a Slate. I do apologize. It has changed names. So basically what I'm going to show you today is just how easy I use it with my Year 5 and Year 6 students, that they can actually display their learning in a very easy flow using the app itself. So let me just share my screen to you and I'll start giving you a bit of a demo. Okay, can you see my screen there, guys?
Yeah, I can see your screen, thank you.
Yeah. Okay, so Adobe Spark have a couple of other ones. I'm going to focus on Page today, but video is very easy, and so is Post as well, to make very engaging graphics and that as well. Mark mentioned it a few weeks ago, so be sure to have a look at those as well. So as soon as I open up the screen here, I can have some basic inspiration of what these type of app does. Okay, so you come and scroll down through here, and there's some different ranges of different media that you can have a look at. Here's a particular one that's by a fellow ADE, based on how to make some holograms. One of the really important things with this is I really like the visual aspects of this. By simply just scrolling down, it just visually looks engaging for students. You can have very simple text, you can have very simple pictures in the background, but something that is very easy to produce and very visually engaging for kids. So I'll give you a bit of a demo. So down at the bottom, I hit on the plus down here, and I'm going to start creating a new one for today. So by simply just pressing on add a title, I can come in and give us a hashtag #AppShareLive. I can come in here and put the date today as well. And it prompts me already to add in a photo. So over on once I press on here, it gives me the options on the right-hand side. Now, one of the issues with Adobe Page at the moment, and a lot of their apps, is they use Creative Commons web search when you're looking for pictures using Find Photos. So if I press on Find Photos here, and this is one of the issues with using it with younger students, is it does allow them to access a lot of other content that may not necessarily be appropriate for their age. And I'll talk to you about how I sort of get around that at the moment. However, if I just look at searching like this, I can come in, look for apps. It does a quick search. I can quickly find one that I'm happy with, and it drops straight in. Okay. So so far it's quite easy to sort of get going. And as you come down, you just scroll down with your finger, and it gives you so many options of things you can add in here. So I can add in another photo down here. I can add some more text. I can add a link. So I can put #AppShareLive. I put a link in here to the YouTube, and it comes up just as a normal button on a website. Okay. If I press on that when the website's live, it will take me straight to that link. Another way I can do it as well, if I've got a particular web link or YouTube or Vimeo, I can simply press on here, copy and paste the URL in, press done, and it comes up live. And there's a nice photo of you there, Rachel. So very, very simple, very easy. The ones I really like are Photo Grid and Glide Show. So if you press on Photo Grid, it on the right-hand side opens up with all those photos you were searching before. However, when I use it in the classroom, I encourage my students to use a lot of photos of their own learning, photos documenting their learning and actual process of what they're actually doing on their project. So if I press on my iPad here, I've taken a few screenshots from Twitter today, and as I press on each of them, you can see here, it automatically makes it into a really easy to visualize grid. Okay, so I'm starting to get a really good workflow here of a journey of AppShareLive today, but thinking about how this actually works in the classroom is a really cool idea. So coming down, and I know I'm just looking at time here, up on the top right-hand side here, you've got the little wand, okay, and this is different themes. So very simple, very easy to use. Students come through and choose a theme that suits their particular project or whatever they're working on. So you can come down, it automatically adjusts that to the different text or the different things that are coming up on your actual page. And when you're ready to present it, the button on the right-hand side there is obviously preview. You can scroll down and you can see how visually engaging this is for students. So I've made something like that in a couple of minutes. Okay. Once you've done it and once you've finished, you can actually share it out live. So by pressing on the export here, you can actually have it as public. Obviously, if you want specific things, you obviously want for copyright issues and that type of thing, you can have it public, you cannot. It gives you a specific link. You need to choose a category. Oh, it's coming up there. I need to choose a category first. then you can just save it to your clipboard, or you can share it on any social media or via email. So that's a very simple way of it. I just want to share with you a couple of ways that I've used with my students in the classroom. We've been recently doing a lot on poetry and a little bit on our grade 5 exhibition as well. So looking at different ways where kids can actually display their learning, engaging in visual ways. So I'll very quickly go through a couple of ones that my students have been working on in the past few weeks. This is one that's a bit of a poetry where we're looking at the different poetic devices and how students are actually able to have a place where they can share what they've actually written. So as you can see here, very visually engaging. The student here's got some of these pictures, obviously from Adobe Page itself. But as you start scrolling down here, you notice it's very visually engaging, but also the students can put in any information that they come across into this in a very easy way. So this is one example, and this is an ongoing project that the students are working on. And over the coming weeks, we'll be adding some more actual poems that they've been writing, and hopefully actually bringing this a little bit more personalized to their sort of like a poetry anthology type thing. So that's one of those. And another one as well is we've been using our exhibition at the end of our grade 5. Students were looking at overfishing as a UN global goal issue, and they just wanted something different in the way that they could explain their particular topic. Okay, so I gave them this, and I just said, hey, go and play with this, see what you come up with. I want you to put your information in and see how it goes. It's just a different way for the students to actually share what they've done. So you can see down here they've added some infographics in, added some facts and information, and this is all their work in a very easy manner, just a different way of presenting. And this didn't take them long at all, but it looks like it, and you go, well, that might have taken the students quite a long time. It doesn't take away from the learning, it's just a different way of presenting the learning themselves. So hopefully that's just a bit of a snapshot of it, but please go out and have a look at it yourself. It's one of my favorite apps at the moment, and obviously the other ones are there as well. So please go and have a look at those. And yeah, any questions, please tweet me at Kobe_Mister, and happy to help you out. Cool.
Brilliant. Thank you very much, Kobe. That's excellent. I know we all really like the Adobe Spark stuff. I wish they'd not changed the name. I'm now so confused about what they're called.
I keep calling it Slate in front of the kids. They know what I'm talking about now.
Exactly. It's like, oh, it was a voice, now it's something else.
So
thank you very much for sharing that. What I liked about what you said was that it doesn't take away from the learning, and I think that's something that's prevalent today throughout everybody's presentations, is that what everybody's shown is that you can use technology in such a way that it doesn't remove the learning from there. It's not all about tech, it's like actually about the learning, and I think that's really shone through today in everybody's presentation. So
of course.
Thank you very much.
No
Does
problem.
anybody else
I just wanted to reinforce what you said there, Rachel, as well, because what was really nice, obviously, was the demonstration of how to use the app, but also then those real-life examples from your classroom. I think that's what's really important. What I love about better presentations today is about how people have been sort of demonstrating things and how they're doing it for real in their classes, and it's using technology as a sort of vehicle to promote their learning and what using is to demonstrate what they're learning in the classroom as well. So that overfishing example and the poetry example, Matthew, as well. It is just great examples of how you can use dead simple to use tech, but in really engaging ways for kids. And of course the stuff that you make on Page, Adobe Spark Page, it looks so amazing too, doesn't it? So thank you.
Yes, it makes an absolutely beautiful
cool
piece of work, doesn't it, for the kids that they're always really proud of when they use any of the Adobe apps.
Yeah, a lot of, especially that the overfishing one we used at our exhibition open night, and parents coming in and actually looking at this and going, "Wow, a student actually made this." And I said, "Yeah, it took them maybe an hour to actually put together."
Yeah,
and then
they're always really
completely blown away. So yeah, really easy, really good app to use.
Excellent, thank you very much. Right, talking about enhancing learning and creating hooks and the like, up next is my favourite Lancastrian, Nathan, who is, for the first time, presenting from outside. This is a world first for AppShare. So, in his ADE jacket, everybody, let's just get that in as well. Brilliant.
Thank you. Branded up today.
Thank you very much, Nathan. It's over to you.
Okay, first of all, I'm not really a Lancastrian. I live in Lancashire, but I'm actually from Kent. And also, yeah, being a bit dangerous today, bring a bit of danger to App Share Live. I'm outside, anything could happen. Maybe an ambulance will go past, maybe a neighbour will ask for some eggs over the fence. They often do. We've got some chickens. So maybe a chicken will escape, who knows? But we're outside.
I'm loving the danger element. I'm loving it.
We're going to have a little bit of fun today with a couple of apps. First one, I think it's called Masquerade, but you'll know it on the App Store as MSQRD. So I'm just going to go to that now. Hopefully I can share my iPad with you guys, and let me know if you can see it.
I'll give you a shout when it's there.
Yeah, we got it?
Not quite. Yes, it's there. It is. Thank you so much.
So here we go. So sorry, let's go to MSQRD first. Okay, so hello. You'll know these apps from this kind of functionality from something like Snapchat, which will let you put a filter over the screen and you're all of a sudden in another world. Okay, so I'm just going to talk about how you might use this in the classroom, basically as a hook for students, but also to get students to use it as well. So here, you know, we've got our space helmet on, so if I nod my head forward, load up again. Hello, boys and girls. Today we are going to learn about the solar system. So straight away, the kids are engaged. They're like, what's doing in space? What's going on? There's all sorts of filters on here, which I'm sure you guys can have a look at and play with. This one is a new one, so they do update them here and there. Hello. So I'm now an orc, and perhaps you could talk to the students about e-safety. So students, or let's get into character. So students, tell me the dangers of playing online games. So straight away though, the fun thing about it is as soon as you go on with these filters, you go into a different character, which is great fun. So I'll go on to one that I've done already, one of my favourites. So if I go to faces, and then let's go to, I've used this one before. So we did some age poetry. So I got all the kids to use this to make their faces look really old, and then they imagine what they would look like when they're older. And this is the one I'm going to show you today, making myself into somebody else completely. So I use this for studying blood brothers. So the idea is that we'll record a little bit of video. So hey, hello, I'm a scouter from Liverpool, and we are going to study blood brothers. I'm actually a detective from Liverpool, and we're going to reopen the case for blood brothers. So I'll record that video. I'll also, really importantly, take a screenshot. So if I get off this app now and go to, in fact, I'm just going to switch the screen a sec. Hello, are you all with me? Yeah, good. Now, just checking, because all I could see was the app then. Could you guys hear and see what I was saying whilst I was using the MSQRD app?
Yes.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah. It's all good.
Yeah.
Okay, just checking, because I didn't want, all I could see was my silly face looking back at me and I wasn't sure. Okay, so I'm going to go to another app now, Orasma, to show you how I'll use these two things together. So the great thing about that is that I can make a little video, or I can take a screenshot, I can share that to my camera roll, and then I can use it in another app. Now the reason why I took a screenshot of it, because with Orasma, we want a still image that we can print off. So here I've got a still image that I have printed off. So we're going to use this with Orasma to create a hook for our students for our Blood Brothers lesson. So I'm going to go back to my iPad now. Okay, so on the Orasma app, those of you who've used it before, Brill, if you haven't used Orasma before, basically we are trying to create a visual hook from an image to make a video come out from that image, really. That's the best way of using it. To set up an account is dead easy. All you need is an email address. Now this is my St Wilfrid's page. Now I could create a new hook if I wanted to by taking a picture of an image that I printed off. I like to use this idea of having a picture come to life, like a Harry Potter effect. So what I've actually done though is already created that hook into an image, so into a video, sorry. So I've created my hook, then asked me for a video from my iPad. I've shared the video that I made in MSQRD. and I'm now going to hit my button on my iPad to then scan that image. So if I go over the image and scan it, it comes to life, and it's me as a Scouser introducing our Blood Brothers case. So the idea was that the kids would try and solve the case of the Blood Brothers. This is the detective talking about the crime scene. There were 2 bodies found there. They seemed to be holding hands. There was a gun left at the scene, that sort of thing. So that's just one idea used with it. I'll show you another one. So this is the mother of the brothers from Blood Brothers, using another filter from MSQRD to make it come to life, and it's that Harry Potter effect which the kids absolutely love. And I can move this bit of paper around, and the video is still there, and the kids love it. We've used it for a Harry Potter book night actually we had in our library as well, which was great. So really good way of using it. Also, if I go back to my my page, you'll see some images on here of teachers. Now this is what we used this for an open evening where we wanted to show parents how iPads were being used within the academy. So we've got our digital lead to set up a bit of a stall. These images were on the wall, and when you scan the image, oh, there goes a car going past. When you scan the image came to life. The teacher spoke about how they used iPads in their classroom. So it's a really good way of demonstrating technology within the school. And there's another one there from our our vice principal there as well. So really good hook for the students. And again, you wouldn't use this every single lesson. I just use it maybe at the start of a topic or something to hook the students in. But you can then also get them to make their own. So we've recently used this as well for. You can see there's an image of a book there. Someone could scan that image of that book, and then a video would come to life with a student telling us what they thought of the book. So loads of different ways to use Aurasma. The only thing is, I'd say that's a little bit complicated with it is that you must get people to follow your channel. So the only way they can actually get the scanner to work, and for this to actually happen, is for them to follow your channel. So you do need to get your students to follow a channel. But at my school, we've just set up basically we just set up a St Wilfrid's channel which the students follow. Okay, so I hope that's made it quite clear for you. It's been difficult because I've had to sort of switch between 2 different apps and I can't see what you guys are seeing. I'm going to go back to me now.
It's all good, looking good there, Nate.
Okay, cool. So, oops, hang on. If I go back to me, there we go. Yeah, so as I said, just a really good hook, and the kids love it. The kids love seeing images come to life. Any questions you've got about it, I'm at Nathan Ashman, dead easy, on Twitter. Feel free to tweet me. Thank you.
Great stuff, mate.
Brilliant. Thank you ever so much. Can you hear me? Am I switched on? Oh, yeah. Thank you very much, Nathan. That was splendid. I mean, we've seen MSQRD a few times on AppShare Live, and it's really great to see how different people use that app in different circumstances in their classroom. And again, like we were saying earlier on, just before you started your presentation, a lot of this stuff we've done today is all about hooking our kids in and getting them interested in the learning. And I don't know who said camouflage learning. Was that you, Kobe? I like that.
That was Danny, actually.
Was it Danny? Yeah, I'm gonna steal that without camouflage learning.
I stole it, Rach, so feel free.
Oh, brilliant, perfect.
I first heard Lee Parkinson use it. I don't know who you heard it from, Danny.
It could have been, I think it was Lee. Yeah, it was.
Yeah.
Well, let's credit him now. Thanks, Lee. That was.
I'm sure Lee stole it from somewhere, though.
Magpie-tastic.
Right. Any questions for Nathan about Aurasma or MSQRD? Anybody?
Nathan, I just mentioned, I know you've alluded to it just near the end there with following channels and stuff. Just one little idea that we've used when the kids have their own channel. If they put something up, they just have a little QR code. So anyone coming past, if they haven't followed that student, they scan the QR code and it links them straight to it. So just for anyone else out there that's trying it as well, just another little handy little tip for that.
That's a great idea. Thanks, Cody.
That is a great idea. Actually, I liked the idea of scanning the teachers' pictures at an open evening. I thought it was a brilliant idea. It's inspired. I'm going to steal that also.
Yeah.
Feel free.
Thanks. Brilliant. We are running
on that front as well. I've seen a number of schools using Aurasma to sort of send things out to parents. you know, and certainly to sort of help EAL students and their parents who struggle with sort of reading the English text on things like newsletters and what have you as well. So making the front page of the newsletter
Nice.
as a marker and what have you, and parents who are following the school channel could then view it. But and you engage the children, so the children made a video where they do like a translation of the text and what have you with the news on for parents and what have you as well. So there are loads of ways you can use it to engage the community in lots of different ways.
Lovely. I am very aware that we're slightly running over time, and so it is me to present, and I am going to do GarageBand live loops, and I'm hoping to do it as speedily as possible. So I will try and share my screen with you, like this. Mark, can you tell me if you're seeing that?
Yeah, I can see your tunnel at the moment. Just need to wait for you to put your air server on. There you go. Yep, all working.
Brilliant. Can you also hear me? Because
I can hear you talking. Yeah.
I might be a bit echoey because I've got to take my headphones off. Okay, I'm going to look at GarageBand today with you, and I am going to look at GarageBand live loops. So if I just actually come out of here, I'm going to go into GarageBand loops like this. I've always thought of GarageBand as an app that can be only used by people who are particularly musical, and so it's kind of frustrating, really. But earlier on this year, I think it was the beginning of the year, and somebody will correct me, I'm sure if I'm wrong, but Apple brought out live loops, which are ace, and you can use them in a lot of ways in the classroom. Now, one of the ways that I've been using it in the classroom is that I'm a modern languages teacher, and one of the things that we have to get the students to do is we've got to get them to learn irregular verbs, i.e. verbs that don't follow a pattern. And the problem with irregular verbs is that they are required all the time, basically. And normally I would like choose a nursery rhyme theme and we would sing it, and that kind of works to a point, but it didn't get the kids really hooked into learning that verb very easily, and also it would only teach them the French and not necessarily the English. So I was pretty pleased when GarageBand Live Loops came out. So Live Loops in GarageBand looks like this. There's all sorts of different genres you can choose from, and I'm going to choose chill. So we'll open it up. When you open it up, you get this kind of desktop with different coloured cells. Now it might lag a little bit as it's about to tell me. You get all these different cells, and they play in columns. So they don't play in rows, they play in columns. So if I play a column for you, you get a really nice mellow sound, obviously because we've chosen chill. If we'd chosen rock, you get a rock sound and so on. But I can only play one column at a time, but I can stop cells and start cells in the same column. So I'll just give you a quick demo of that. Hopefully you'll be able to follow because I can't have a pointer on here, but here we go. So I can turn the volume down a bit. So I can stop this cell and start that one. And GarageBand keeps everything in time for you. You can then stop each individual cell. So I'll just scroll down because I'm on that a mini. And then I can bring this in. So if I stop this cell, I can place something in that row, something else in that row, and so on. So hopefully you get the basic idea. The kids can mix a kind of tune together and they can record it and save it. And that's all splendid. But what I wanted to do is I wanted the kids to bring in some speech so that they could remember these irregular verbs. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you how we did that. So the first thing you need to do is you need to find a blank cell. Now you can either get the kids to fill in. Can you see at the bottom of the screen, and I hope somebody will turn the microphone on and tell me, can you see where the plus sign is underneath the grand piano? Can you see that bottom row is completely blank? And so,
yeah, see that.
And so you could record voice into that bottom row, or equally, you could record the voice into a blank column. And I'll just show you how to record into a cell. So what you do is, you hold your finger on an empty cell, hopefully, she says. Okay, and can you see you get the little image record into cell? So you tap recording to cell, and it flips you to another page. And this is the recording page. Now, dry just means you're just going to have your ordinary spoken voice like you can hear me now, but you could have it so it sounded like you're in a small room or large room. You could have it dreamy. All my children absolutely love Chipmunk, but you know, you can have different voice effects added to it. Now, what you have to do is you press the record button. I'm going to turn the volume up a wee bit. You press the record button, and the metronome starts keeping you in time. And you can record your voice in time with the music, the type of music that you're playing. So I'll just give it a whirl. It didn't work awfully well this morning, but I'll try. Je vais, I go. And so you've recorded your voice in time with the music that you've been playing. Okay. Now the volume wasn't great this morning. I'll show you how to. So that's my recording done of my voice. And what we're going to do now is we're going to take it back into our little grid. And can you see in the top left-hand corner, so this is my song, there's like 3 squares and then there's like a grid square. If you tap that grid, it should flip you back to your grid. And you can see that my voice that I've recorded is now flashing in this corner. Now, if I want to change the volume on any of these rows, I've got to open this drawer, slide my finger here, sorry. Slide my finger and it will open the drawers and you can change the volume of each element. So that's how you would alter your volumes there. Oops. And you can shut the drawer like so. This button here, which I'm just currently sliding, I hope you can see it, changes the volume of the track. And so what I get the kids to do is, I get the kids to make their song and introduce the vocabulary as they go so that they make a lovely kind of funky music verb song, basically. And I'm going to give you an example of one of my kids. Hopefully they won't mind. I'm sure they won't, because they'll be pretty pleased at their... Let me see if I can find one. I picked one out this morning for us. Where are they? One sec. Here we go. So this one works really well. They've done really well with this, the guys, Will and Keziah. And hopefully it'll load up and you'll get an idea of what I mean. Here we go. Let's take it right back to the beginning for you. I think this might be a bit of dubstep. I'm sorry, everyone. And so they go on, and they go all the way through the verb paradigm. And actually, what I found was that the kids were learning their verbs much more readily by, first of all, having to keep repeating over and over again these verbs, and by having to actually construct the song. They were it was only to do a verb paradigm is like 8 words, but actually they were really, really getting these words stuck in their head, and it works much better than my old nursery rhyme tunes to a French verb. So it was super successful, and the kids really enjoyed it. I'm just going to come back to me, hopefully, and stop sharing. And that's it. That was a super speedy run through of my garage band live loops songs with my students. There's loads you can do with GarageBand, but I was aware at the time, so I just tried to keep it short and sweet. No one's going to speak to me.
Thank you, Ray.
Thank you, Rachel. Sorry.
You're all asleep. It's fine.
Brilliant stuff.
I just think it's got quite a lot of. I think it's got quite a lot of applications in for lots of different ways of learning. Just as a little hook, so that you can try and get a bit tricky into kids' heads.
Yeah, I like how you said at the start, Rachel, where the kids, specifically as a teacher, not all of us are very musical, and I'll put my hand up, I'm definitely not, but I think GarageBand and those loops make it really easy, and by giving the kids the opportunity to do it, that they actually go ahead and make these songs that you're like, whoa, that's really great, you know. And as teachers, we don't necessarily need to know how to do that. It's giving the kids the opportunity to do that is really important, I think.
Absolutely. That's it, I think. Mark, have you got anything to add before we close off our overrunning AppShare Live?
I just wanted to apologise because I took a delivery whilst you were presenting, but I'm really quite excited. I haven't fixed it to it yet, but I've got a new thing called a G hold, which I can stick on the back of my iPad, and basically it sticks on through sort of suction on the back of the iPad, so you can then just sort of slide your fingers through like so to help keep your iPad in place when you're presenting. So I'll have a little play around and a little look at that. But
was that your delivery?
But that was the delivery that came whilst you were presenting, so I'm really sorry that I dipped off. At least the postman didn't sort of start knocking on whilst I was presenting myself. Thank you for your presentation, Rachel. I love music, as you know. I was fortunate enough to spend some time with Rachel week before last. We were looking at lots of music apps and what have you, and I think that music's a massive hook for learning in the classroom. I used to use an app called Songsmith, a Microsoft thing, where kids can sing in and what have you, and make their own raps and poems and what have you, and do it to music. And this is the same sort of thing, but it's just so readily accessible and easy. And like many things today as well, what's been really cool with your presentation, Rach, has been that you've been showing those real life examples from your classroom. And I know the impact that the work that you do with the kids in these innovative ways has on the children in your classroom. So they're brilliant. Thank you very much for sharing. I'm sure that I've seen some great tweets about it as well. So yeah.
Yeah, of course. You can always get hold of me on @Lancaster on Twitter, just like you can get hold of the rest of us on our Twitter handles, and we're more than happy to give people a hand with stuff that we've talked about today, I am sure. Lovely. I think that's it for AppShare Live today. It just leaves me the great pleasure to say thank you so much to, let's start with you, Steve. Thank you, Steve Bambury, all the way over in the UAE. Thank you for joining us. To Nathan in his garden.
No problem. Enjoyed it.
Danger Ashman.
As he shall be forever known. Danny Ross up there in Barnsley. Thank you, sir.
Pleasure, Rach. Thank you.
And to Kobe, thank you so much for joining us, Kobe. And next time you join us, you'll be in Hong Kong, no doubt. And that
hopefully, yeah, lots of exciting things to share from there. Hopefully.
Excellent. And thanks, of course, to my lovely friend and co-host Mark Anderson for doing all the buttons and making sure everybody's on the screen at the right time and tweeting and goodness knows what. Can I just say before I go that we really, really massively appreciate the fact that these educators give up an hour or more of their time on a Saturday morning. And I know that the people of the Twitter sphere really appreciate it too. So thank you ever so much, gentlemen. A big, big thanks from me and Mark. We really appreciate it. Thank you. And to everybody who's watched and tweeted, thank you to you also. And I hope everybody has an absolutely splendid Saturday morning, or indeed afternoon and evening if you're in the UAE. Thank you so much for joining us.
Can I just add to that? Thank you, Rach. That the next episode of AppShare Live will be on July the 9th, I believe. Is that right?
That's correct, yeah.
So please join us for that. We've got some great episodes coming up over the coming months as well. I'm going to be doing an AppShare Live at a conference in Dubai in October with Steve. We're doing the Innovation Summit at the Jess School over there. So please do join us for that. AppShare Live. There's talks of us doing one live from the ADE Institute as well in Berlin, which is also in July as well. So we might get 2 episodes in July as well. So more to look out for. So yeah, just echoing what Rachel said. Thank you to everybody who's watched in today and shared on Twitter. Don't forget this gets saved straight to YouTube, so you can watch it back again and what have you too. And again, thank you, massive thanks, like Rachel said, to Kobe, Danny, Nathan, Steve, and also thank you as well to Rachel for hosting today. Thank you so much.
Thank you, sir.
Right, I'm going to end things now then, so wave bye-bye.
Bye.